Malaysia Green Building Council, also known as Malaysia GBC, is an organization that promotes green building programs, technologies, and design practices, aims to make Malaysia an eco-friendly and sustainability place on Earth. Malaysia GBC was founded in May 2009 by a group of passionate building consultants, academia, and representatives. Even since Malaysia's building has increased, the efficiency of resources used in each building was built with green in mind. Malaysia GBC is also supported and associated with most of the top industry institutions. In the year 2015, Malaysia GBC became an established member of the World Green Building Council and known to be the only organization in Malaysia to be supported by the World GBC. Malaysia GBC continues to be the platform that networks, promotes, educates, and most importantly, develops the sustainable, built into the land of Malaysia. With much more passionate industry professionals, we can make Malaysia a greener and better place on Earth.
Welcome everybody to our webinar on integration of sustainability in business. And with us today, we have our guest speaker and keynote speaker, which is Putri Nurul Afika, the Corporate Communications Executive from IGIA Berhad. Yeah. She graduated from Tengku Abdul Rahman University College in a degree of Public Relations and joined IGIA in May 2019 as a Corporate Communication Executive. Green elements has always been a part of IGIA's DNA. As such, Putri has been assisting and plays an integral role in the group sustainability committee, believing in sustainability importance in organization. Putri and the team has been working towards embedding sustainability within the organization, such as volunteering for CSR programs hosted and co-hosted by IGIA. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Putri Nurul Afika.
So hi, first and foremost, let me share my screen first. While I'm sharing my screen, I would like to say thank you to MGBC and as well as IGM for organizing such a brilliant webinar, right? So I hope that at the end of this webinar session, it's going to be a fruitful one. So let's begin. Can you see my slide? Can anyone see my slide? Okay, so integrating sustainability into business. Okay, this is the topic for today, right? So my name is Putri and I'm going to be the speaker. So when we talk about, when we talk about sustainability, first we have to understand what is meant by sustainability, right? Because we have to understand the general concept about sustainability. So what is meant by sustainability? Sustainability meant the ability to be maintained at a certain rate, okay, or level. But today we're going to talk about sustainability in business. So let me ask another question. What is meant by sustainability in business? From my observation, from the question that I've asked a lot of business fellow friends and staff, right? When we talk about sustainability in business, most of them usually relate it to environment. Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle, right? So while it's not wrong, but please bear in mind, sustainability is not entirely about environment. Okay? Sustainability is a concept related to the development of products, goods, and services that involves meeting our present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to fulfill their own needs. So while most of people associate it with the environment, like I mentioned earlier, right? You will think about reduce, reuse, recycle, or CSR project. Those misconceptions. Sustainability can be explored in various other contexts, including the economic development and social responsibilities. So going green and sustainable is not only beneficial to the company, it is also to maximize the benefits from an environmental focus in long term, and not just environmental, but also social. So in practice, right, business sustainability consists of managing the triple bottom line. This includes decision-making that takes into consideration financial, social, and environmental risk, obligations, and also opportunities. This means more than just accounting for environment and social impacts in corporate reporting. So sustainable business are resilient and create economic value, healthy ecosystem, and strong communities. So again, sustainable businesses survive over the long term because they are intimately connected to healthy economic, social, and environmental system. So as we all know that United Nations, they have actually come out with sustainable development goals. There are 17 goals. So there's no poverty, zero hunger, responsible consumption, and there are 17 of them. And each of those goals, they have individual targets and indicators. And in totality, there's 169 targets. And these sustainability, right, these 17 goals can be segmentized into 3 different segments, which that covers environment, social, and governance. So what does environment, social, and governance means? So ESG, I think most of you have heard of this term ESG before, right? So E stands for environment, which includes the energy that your company takes in and the waste that is discharged. So environment, when I put it in a more simpler example, is electricity that your company using. Okay, that stands for environment. And then social, we have addresses the relationships your company has and the reputation it fosters with people and institutions. This one is about your shareholders, your stakeholders, right? The communities. And then the third one, we have governance, the internal system of practices, controls, and procedures your company adopts. So for instance here, maybe your compliances, those law and regulations like Anti-Bribery Act or Anti-Corruption Act. So as you can see here, I've actually put an example of how I link the ESG towards the Sustainable Development Goal, the SDG, right? So you can see that some of these Sustainable Development Goals, some of these goals actually interconnected with one another, which is why we say we do business sustainably, because we do business while taking care of the environment, social, as well as the governance side. So we leave no man behind, in another word, right? Okay, so we also know that the recent 12 Malaysian plan, right, is anchored on 3 key themes, namely resetting the economy, strengthening security, well-being and inclusivity, as well as advancing sustainability. So you can see how important sustainability is going to be in the next future. So how do you actually embed or integrate sustainability into business? Okay, so first we have vision, missions, and values. This is the first step. Many organizations have vision, mission, and set of values. So being clear on the purpose of company is vital. It's very crucial to shaping an effective strategy. This ensures that rather than featuring as a sideshow, right, your sustainability strategy, your sustainability vision and mission, rather than you feature it as a sideshow, it bolted on the organization. And the sustainability strategy can actually build on the organization's reason for being, history, and core assets. Okay, so vision, mission, and value should prompt some thinking about the direction that the organization is heading. Okay, so you should ask the question, what role can responsible business practice play in speeding up your achievement of the vision and mission? So you can see how sustainability can actually play parts to achieve your corporate, your organization vision and mission. So your strategy needs to flow from the corporate aims. We're not asking you to create suddenly some new vision, some new mission, but it has to gel in. It has to have chemistry with your corporate, your organization vision and mission. Now, moving on to the next step, your second step, after you have had your vision, mission, and values, you should start to identify issues that matter. Now, this is where you should ask questions on behalf of your organization. Yeah, is this part of your responsibility? Is tackling, for instance, biodiversity or hunger is part of your organization's responsibility? Because at the end of the day, you see, when you do sustainability, you don't want it to harm your business, because as we mentioned, we want to do business sustainably. Yeah, sustainable business. A business that actually takes care of the environment, the social and governance in a holistic manner. Everything is accounted. So that's where I'll give some example like how in Agia, right, we do. So what we did was we asked questions towards our stakeholders, towards our top management. We distributed survey questions to determine the sustainability metrics. So we will ask which one, according to them, is most important and least important. And from there, we will plot out. So materiality here means that identifying and understanding what issues are significant, first to the business, second to stakeholders, and then you prioritize them for action. So this is where the GRI, right, the Global Reporting Initiative comes in. So Global Reporting Initiative, they actually come out with a simpler way for organization, for corporate, or maybe NGO even, to understand and communicate the impact of business on critical sustainability issues. So what they did is that the concept of they actually places the concept of materiality in the heart of sustainability reporting. So this challenges companies or organizations to think hard about the links between their sustainability impacts and their business strategy and operation. So it presents a suggested process for determining materiality, which involves engaging with key stakeholders groups. Like I mentioned earlier, right? So we conducted a questionnaire to determine sustainability metrics. Now, once you have already gathered your questionnaire, you did your survey, you've identified, then you start to prioritize effectively. You see, here comes the problem, because most of the company, right, or some companies, they think that the sustainability strategy should be the sum total of all activities that the business is doing. So they try to shoehorn every issue in strategy, because they are afraid that if they don't tackle a particular topic, right, then people are going to critique them or going to say anything about them. But you see, when we say embedding or integrating sustainability in your business, we are not asking you to tackle all 17. Because as I mentioned earlier, you have to look, you have to prioritize, you have to see which one is important to your organization. It goes back to your vision and mission. You ask the question, is this part of your responsibility or not? So you don't have to actually prioritize all 17 goals. But again, a good strategy involves deciding which issues you should really focus on and uniting the element into the framework for setting. So we put it into a hierarchy framework from most important to least important. We are not saying that the least important you don't bother or you don't care, but we prioritize which one is most important first. So what we did in Agia, just now I mentioned, right? So my organization, they have actually distributed survey questions towards our stakeholders, top management. So after we gathered, we start to plot it out. So we have this materiality metrics template, which you can actually get it from Bursa Malaysia. Yeah. So they provided this Excel sheet where you can put it in, you can prioritize it, put in percentage, and then they will plot it out for you. So which you can see here, right, at the top left corner, where you can see there's quality products and services, digital transformation, safety and health at workplace. So this is the hierarchy that we are focusing on, from the top to least important. We are tackling all these 8. Okay, so an effective framework, it should group together the different issue and explain how the companies are planned to address them. So not only it helps with the implementation and targeting of resources, but also make engagement and communication of the strategy much more effective. Now, when I say communications and strategy, here comes the next step. Before that, I forgot to explain this. So after you have actually prioritized, right? So as I mentioned earlier, so the focus need to be on the right issue that are most material for the company. So once you have actually able to channel its investment into a small number of key areas. So you can see that once we have already identified, prioritized which one is most important and which one is least important, we are able to segmentize according to our target group, and we can put key focus areas and how we want to engage them. Okay, so moving on, as I mentioned earlier, communication and strategy, right? This is where your targets, your KPIs comes in. So the starting point should be to take each of the priorities that you have identified in the strategic framework and consider what targets should be set for each. So target here means what are you trying to achieve? And then your key performance indicator or your KPI, it should be quantifiable measure used to monitor and evaluate performance towards a target or goals. So for instance, in my organization, in AGIA, right, our mission is to explore new frontiers, right? So what we did is we engage with external parties, we engage with maybe education institution to run for Industrial Revolution 4. So you can see how it's actually linked up one another. So I have my mission, and then I've prioritized, as you can see in our previous slide, right? You can see that digital transformation is our number 2 most important to our organization. So we start to engage the right parties, and we set up targets and KPIs like how long do we want it to run, what is the duration, how's the progress going to be, so on and so forth. So how do you develop targets and KPIs? You can develop by metrics form. So you develop ways to measure progress towards sustainability. So the process of deciding what to track in order to monitor progress. It is also to identify forms of relevant sustainability data to be monitored and collected. Because you see, why we say you have to set targets and KPIs is so that you can review back whether you guys are actually aligning to corporate's objective or not, whether you are progressing positively or not. Okay, so once you have your targets, once you have your KPIs, right, that's where you can move to implementations. So when we talk about implementation, right, it's not just a blind implementation, but it needs step by step as well. The first, of course, inspiration and guidance for employees, because you have to understand when you want to implement your sustainability, if you want to integrate your sustainability into your business, you need full support from your employees. And the implementation and communication should start from top to down, top to bottom. So from the management, it comes down slowly to the employees, to the staff. Okay. So colleagues, your employees, they have to be clear. They need a clear guidance on what sustainability actually means. What are those new strategies? And you see, communication can stifle engagement, okay? So employees need to understand how sustainability should influence and affect their day-to-day work. Because if you don't talk to them, you don't communicate with them, then it won't work. It won't work, because nobody can run it for you. So next, you have governance. So it's a formal system of accountability should be put in place to oversee the strategy. So governance here, I can give an example, such as maybe your ISO standards or your anti-bribery acts. You know, these are those strategy, or these are those standards that a formal system that you use to keep liaising on, to look into, to oversee the strategy. And then we have review, okay, which is part of the role of effective governance. You see, just now I mentioned you need to set your targets, you need to set your KPIs, right? So why you need to set your targets, why you need to set your KPIs is because you need to do your review back. You want to see whether, first, your sustainability is progressing or not. Okay, if it's progressing, then is it progressing positively or negatively? Is it not benefiting to your organization, not as per what your corporates want? It's not aligning to the corporate visions and mission or values, or it is. So you have to do a track back. You have to track back. And lastly, you have to have like external engagement and feedback. So you're taking the strategy to external stakeholders. So which is for you to gain back feedback. Yeah, it can be in a form of a dialogue. So like you listening back to their feedback, you take the board suggestions and build trust through a meaningful exchange of views. So this can actually build advocates for the companies and also create a more resilient approach by responding to stakeholders' views. Okay, so those are those 5 steps. So in Ajia, right, we have always been supporting sustainable development goals because since our inception, green element has always been part of Ajia DNA. So that's why we have been supporting sustainable development goals. These are the few SDG goals that we are actually doing and progressing. So for instance, here we have recently, how the MCO have actually impacted many of our communities, public to have not sufficient food, right? So what we did was we collaborated with an NGO called MSEF, and we have donated a total of 200,000 ringgit, which is equivalent to 50,000 food packs to be distributed nationwide. Now, remember just now I mentioned that you need data, you need number. These are the data that you should keep, you should track. You see? Okay. Next, we have been, for the past few years, we have been installing a total of 3.3 megawatt peak of solar panels, okay, throughout our factories, which avoiding approximately 2,000 tons of carbon CO2 emission annually. And then for quality education, we have been collaborating with several universities to provide research opportunities, training, industrial attachments, okay? And then we have been, as I mentioned, promoting green building solution because green DNA is part of our, green element is part of our DNA. So we have come up with our own patented IBS, which is a Ajia Green Integrated Building System, a type of IBS that provides affordable and sustainable construction materials. And then we have been following all those governance policies, right? Like I mentioned, anti-bribery, anti-corruption. We have our ISO standards and compliances that we have been following through. So you see, developing a sustainability strategy, it doesn't have to be a complex process, but it requires you to think. It requires a wide angle of view of the company, context which it operates. Okay, it involves a range of different viewpoints, like from your employees, external stakeholders, or other experts, so that it can ensure that the right priorities are identified and addressed in the most effective way. You see, the sustainability landscape is constantly changing. So again, sustainability is not an end point. It's not an end station because sustainability constantly changes. So you have to keep on doing your review. You have to track back, look back, and then, so you have to understand like the expectations of what issues companies should address, how they should go about tackling them, and it's evolving day by day. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Putri, for your wonderful presentation. And we now go on into our question and answer session. With that, I would like also to introduce Mr. Chan Tai Wei, who is the Senior Manager of Business Development and Data Analysis from Ajia Berhad, who will be joining us to answer questions from the audience. Yeah. From our, if you have any questions, please do use your dashboard to ask questions. And I have here a question from the dashboard. How can I calculate the materiality matrix, Putri?
Okay, the materiality matrix, right? You can calculate it as I mentioned just now in my presentation, right? So you can actually get it from Bursa, which they already provide a template, an Excel template. So you can actually just download it. And before you want to use that, what we do in Nigeria is that we actually circulated survey question to our stakeholders, to our top management, sustainability committee, right? We ask them a sort of questions, and then only then we will plot into the Excel template that was given.
Okay. Um, what's GS mission and vision, and how do you link that with sustainability? Perhaps we could have Mr. Chan answer this.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Sally, for the introduction. Well done to Putri on your good presentation. To answer your question on the vision, our vision 2040 is to enrich the well-being of the communities, and our mission is to explore new frontiers, especially for this year. And I think Putri did a good job presenting some of the new frontiers that we are trying to explore, especially in the industrial revolution 4.0. I think given that the pandemic situation, I think this has helped us to boost, especially as to even justify that we should expedite in terms of the digital transformation. So part of the industrial Revolution 4.0 related activity that we've done is that not just about automation, but it's how to link up our business systems together to do certain data analysis, especially relating to operational efficiency.
Right.
Especially now costs are getting up, so we have to better identify where can actually we improve.
Right. Right. Um, okay. What? There's another question here. What sustainability challenges does your organization face? Perhaps either one of you.
Okay, I'll speak up first before I pass it to Putri. The challenge that we face, I think business sustainability for every business operator or management, it has always been in their mind when it comes to the dollar and cent, the profitability. But just now, Putri has also shared it is not just from the economic wise, but also we have to take care about the social contribution and also the environmental part of it. So um, a lot of our challenge implementing or maybe creating that kind of awareness to the organization is always about how can we link some of their activities to the bigger goals or to the
Right.
bigger visions that we have. So it takes time, even for us as a 31 years organization, every day we are still doing the awareness and every day we are still aligning and make them aware that actually there is a bigger goals that we are trying to achieve here. So all the things that we are doing is just how to put it into a proper documentation and reporting and make them realize that actually, hey, they are actually also taking part in the bigger
Bigger.
journey towards the sustainability.
Right. So it's all about the bigger picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putri, anything to add?
Everything has been said by Highway actually. You see, communication, right, is very vital, especially from the top
Right.
management. Why? Because you can't just suddenly go to your employees and say, hey, do sustainability when they don't even understand what's going on. What is sustainability in general? So
So
communication is one of the biggest challenge, I would say, because you have to educate every of your employee. Yeah.
so it's the management buy-in which is very vital to ensure that everything works. Then.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Good to know. Another question here. What role does sustainability play in your company's overall strategic plan? S- Sounds like a management question.
All right. Probably I'll take up the questions.
Yeah.
In terms of sustainability, like I mentioned, operational sustainability has always embedded. You can't run away, right? We are a profit-making organization, but at the same time, some other social contribution that we can play along, such as creating job opportunities or bringing new innovation or technology such as our industrial building system. How can we, get the unskilled worker to be skilled? For example, for Ajia, what we do is that we have a pusat latihan bertauliah accredited by CIDB, which we actually get in students, uh, probably from the public and also from ABM, to actually teach them about the basic to do our steel framing. So this is part of the initiative and example that I would like to bring up. And all these are the social contribution that we can actually provide along with our business strategy, as well as, for example, we also go into renewable energy. I think coupled with the government's encouragement, that has also made us realize that actually renewable energy is also affordable. And therefore, without further ado or thinking, we actually, without hesitate, go out and roll out to our plants to actually install solar panels.
So, what percentage is the renewable energy usage? Yeah, in terms of total monthly output, perhaps.
It's about 60 to 70%. We hope that we can get more,
So,
but
60 to 70% of your energy usage is renewable.
yes, correct.
Wow.
We hope to get more. Unfortunately, we can't due to the because TMB they restrict our capacity because of the substation capacity that they have. So the amount of solar power that we can actually put up is limited by their substation.
How many? What's the capacity of the solar at your plant? If I may ask.
About 3.3 megawatt peak,
Ah, okay.
which is away from our total about 5 megawatt peak.
Okay, okay. So this provides for 70% of your um, total energy consumption.
Yes, correct.
Okay. That's pretty interesting because that is among the top percentile already of renewable energy use actually. Um, well, of course, if you can do with net zero energy, that would be the next step, I would guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we can
Mm.
journey towards that.
Mm, 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 mm. Perhaps TMB might be a bit more lenient and understanding, although I think that's the issue with being a power provider, right? Basically, what you say when you're net zero, you're not actually using any power from them.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah,
think also they give and take. You know,
yeah, yeah. Of course,
uh,
yeah.
from 0% now at least 60 to 70%. I think we have to give them a thumbs up on that, especially liberating some of the energy for renewable.
Okay. No, I think they have to because looking at the the commitments that Malaysia has done, we have done great commitments in our COP 21 meeting. We have, as AOL mentioned, also RMK 12 has a huge sustainability push. We have our yearly reporting with UNFCCC for carbon, and all those are actually, I think, policy-wise, Malaysia is good. Only whether it trickles down to the implementation agencies, the ministries, and also um, GLCs to actually execute all these strategic policies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anything to add, Nurul, to this conversation?
Not much.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, everything is covered up.
Oh, okay. Very smart answer. I think I would like to ask a few questions myself. In terms of um, if somebody asks, what is the carbon footprint of IGEA? Would you be able to answer it? How many tons of carbon IGEA produces a year for your activities?
Hi, Sally. I think we do not actually particularly quantify that, but judging from the amount of electricity that we have able to use from renewable energy, our renewable energy is able to avoid about 2,000 ton a year carbon emission. So let's say we double up. I think supposingly we generate about 4,000 ton a year, but because of our RE, we are able to cut it half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at the moment we are probably producing about 2,000 ton.
I'm talking about holistically. Or are you guys moving towards that? Because recently the Malaysian government has announced ca- the pursuing of carbon trading, right?
Yeah.
So meaning that what they are asking, what they are, I think, alluding to is that people should be quantifying carbon, and as you well know, carbon is not just about energy. It's also about other activities such as transport, such as your embodied carbon in your materials that you use and whatnot. So there is a huge matrix of things to look at, and just wondering if the organization is going towards that.
Yeah, I think the one that you just mentioned, it could be the extent of Industry 4.0, where we are able to, even capture some of the data,
Yeah,
how many miles that each truck has traveled, and then we can compile
yeah,
probably across the years and do some estimation.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
think.
is possible. That is possible. That's why we need
Uh,
the power of the,
yeah, yeah,
probably
but
new technology to do that.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm asking, is it your direction? Possible? Yes, it's possible. No issue about that, because I think when you talk about technology, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like any tool that we have. It's like a knife. A knife can be used to cut vegetables, can be used to do anything, but it can also be used in nefarious forms to kill people, for example.
Mm.
So it's totally dependent on what you do. There are a lot of companies who have access to a lot of big data, but they do not use it responsibly, and not towards an honorable goal. Sometimes they use big
Mm.
data to, in fact, do the opposite of that, and try to find ways to gain more profit from their customers and whatnot. But I
Mm.
think it's just interesting that um, there is a huge strategic push from IGEA to look at sustainability, and from your footprint, it is a large footprint, because industrial footprint, of course, per building, or per, if you look at per square feet, will be far larger due to you being an industrial producer, right? And this would bode well to the overall savings that in terms of carbon in the whole thing. But it's just that at Malaysia GBC, we are just looking at carbon measurements now for buildings and organizations,
Mm.
which would tie in very well with reporting, such as your metrics reporting and corporate reporting. And I think in most more matured markets, corporate reporting does have a carbon component to it, because they need to understand exactly how much the organization is impacting the environment, because that is interrelates with our reporting, country reporting to the UN FCC, right? So I think that this is a great step. Perhaps, hopefully, IGR will become one of those corporate companies that will be at the forefront of this endeavor, lah, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I
Oh,
think sometimes it's also whether the cost of collecting the data is also value add to the end consumer.
oh. There are some questions here from the floor.
Yeah.
Um, Sarah asks, how can you describe your IBS? How green is it? That's the question. I think you had mentioned an IBS system, right? So how green is it?
Okay, first of all, I think from the green aspect of it, first of all, the material that we use, it's metal. Metal is highly recyclable. That
Mm-hmm.
is probably you can say one green point. And the other thing is that because a lot of the measurements are prefab in the factory, so
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to site, there's a minimal debris that could be a result from that.
Okay.
So that could also contribute to that. And then thirdly is also because our system is innovative by itself that we do not actually fully assemble before we deliver, but we partially deliver the components and for the contractor to assemble at the site. So
Uh,
in terms of transportation,
mm-hmm.
that could also help to reduce the probably the trucks that you need to use, the size of the truck that you need to use,
Mm-hmm.
and we can actually enhance the transportation efficiency.
I think do you have any green labels for the IBS system? Uh,
Green labels, we are applying for that. Yeah.
applying which green label? Yeah, just out of curiosity.
We are registering for the ISO for this 14,001.
I think that is not a
and
green. That is not a green label. It's
and
a
we are
ISO.
yeah once we got that, then we will slowly work towards getting the serum eco labeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think why I asked this is that it's easier to answer questions like how green is it, because when you apply for eco label, usually there is a stringent methodology of testing that will quantify actually materiality and quantify savings, quantify wastage. I think the quantification would be very useful as well for you to market the IBS system.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, yeah. Another question here, also from Sarah. If I want to refer to your sustainability report, where can I get it? Uh, IGS
Putri,
sustainability report. Yeah.
yeah, Putri, probably you can answer that.
Okay, actually, our sustainability report can be get from our website, Ajia website, under our annual report segment. It's actually in the annual report itself, part of our annual report lah. So that's where you can actually
Mm,
extract it out and read our sustainability report.
right. Yeah. So it is part of your transparent management. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So what are your plans for future improvement for IGA? Chan and Putri.
In terms of sustainability, you mean?
Of course, yeah. In terms of your field, lah, your sustainability, because we are talking, you are the sustainability committee for IGR, right? And advising the management on sustainability measures need to be taken in the future.
Of course, in terms for Asia, okay, we will be trying to come up with a better framework to moving forward. Like you mentioned earlier, like how our the 12 plan. I mean, the government. We are going to work towards that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will try to to link in our framework together with the country's plan as well as our corporate vision and mission. Yeah.
Great, great. Uh, any comments, Mr. Chan?
Yeah, that is what we Putri and I are working towards. aligning the bigger picture to the national policy, and also refine some of the alignment towards the global standards.
Mm.
While at the same time, we identify opportunities. Like I mentioned just now, we are also establishing the ISO on the particularly this related to environmental,
Yes.
and slowly working towards getting some of our products to be labeled as a Syrian Eco label.
Yeah. I think ISO is more towards your internal processes, looking at your internal processes are they green and whatnot, and eco label I assume is more for
The product.
your product and purchases to understand that what type of um, savings they can get on your product and the performance of your product. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Other than the IBS, are there any other products that are going for eco label?
Perhaps, Sally, actually, the material that we use for the metal,
Yes.
part, they are Syrian Eco label.
Oh, okay. The raw
Yes, the raw
material.
material. And
Mm-mm.
our part here, we are just doing roll forming.
It's galvanized steel, right?
Yes, it's a galvanized steel, yeah. And they are actually eco label.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah. So I guess the finished product is also eco label for our
Mm-hmm.
general. We call it under the general product segment.
Okay.
Whereas the IBS is something unique to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are committed towards getting the
Mm-mm.
eco label.
It would be do you know in terms of performance of the IBS in terms of base in comparison with the baseline, what is type of savings achieved if you use the system as opposed to normal post and beam construction in terms of speed and in terms of material savings? Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, some last time we had a research report
Okay.
done by the CIDB, and they are saying that comparing to conventional, we are actually cheaper, probably in the single percentage magnitude. And when it comes to the speed,
Yeah.
that is just a material comparison. But when there is also part of those indirect benefit, such as the faster turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for example, for a 24 months kind of housing projects,
Mm-hmm.
we are actually able to squeeze it down and expedite up to probably 7 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Yeah.
You also have this built some low cost housing using the material, and that's just showing how cost effective it is. Maybe you can tell us a bit about those projects, those particular projects.
Oh, those low cost housing, especially those rumah mesra rakyat that we did before. Uh, those are talking about the range of 50K to 70K.
Right.
Even our kind of system is able to get it done. And from the ground slab, when it's ready, our system come in, from the frame up to the roofing, everything can be just done in a month time.
Mm, mm,
So it
mm,
has clearly proven that it is able to, satisfy low cost housing.
mm. And I assume it's scalable as well. The speed is scalable due to the modularization, right?
Yeah, and also because of the workers who are when they are actually skilled and also getting used to the modular size, so they are
Mm,
able
mm,
to actually expedite in terms of their assembly speed.
mm. I think this is a pretty interesting topic. Perhaps there needs to be a very focused discussion on this with regard to IBS system because at the end of the day, a lot of people I think will be interested in that.
Yeah, we
What
hope we
was
can share more in another session. Yeah.
What is the maximum height that you can go for this IBS system?
At the moment, we are focusing on a single story,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of the frame itself, it can go up to 8 meter, 9 meter, no problem, which we had done for factory
Mm-mm.
when it comes to the walling part.
So roughly around 3 stories max.
Yeah, yes.
Mm-mm. Okay. Um, we still have 10 minutes. Maybe we'll we'll discuss the uh, way forward to of businesses in with regard to adopting green policies. If that's okay with you guys. Mr. Chan, are you there? Hello, Mr. Chan, are you there? Putri, have we lost your colleague?
Yes. Okay.
What happened?
Some technical, some technical problem. Actually, he's
Oh,
trying
you
to
guys
solve.
are together at the same at the office at the same
Yeah,
place.
we already start back our work. At the
Okay,
office. Yes,
okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Uh,
So either Mr. Chan is asking you to answer everything, or
you see, as I mentioned, sustainability leave no man behind, so he won't leave me. He'll come back. It's just that one thing about sustainability, right? I wanted to mention to most of
sure.
companies. Right? So you must businesses who want to adapt sustainability, right? You should know that there's no one strategies work for two different companies.
Mm, mm,
Okay, so some certain things may applicable to our organization maybe, but may not be applicable to your organization. That's why
right.
you have to understand the policy since the beginning. You have to set the
Mm,
target and everything. Only then you can move forward to your
yeah.
corporate
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah.
And I think organizations like IGA is even more challenging because you're a manufacturer. Like ISO 14,000, for example.
Yeah.
If it was it's an office, it's pretty easy to get because there are the limited number of processes involved. I mean, there's not many processes in an office. But if you talk about manufacturing, there may be hundreds, if not thousands, of sub processes that must go through the ISO process. And I think that is challenge of the bigger the organization, the more complicated the processes are, and the more things that you need to keep track of.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we do is we start with one of our branch first. Yeah. After we've
Mm-hmm.
actually I learn and seek through all the policies,
Right.
whatever, then only we start to adapt it to our other branches. Yeah.
Okay. Chan, you're back with us. We thought you you had some technical issue just now.
Yeah, so sorry, the line dropped.
It's okay. It's okay. The important thing is you're back. Putri vouch for you. We will never leave her. So okay, at
Yeah,
least
thank you so much.
you keep your promise.
Yeah.
We were talking about the bigger organizations is much more difficult to adopt sustainability due to the amount of processes that are involved. Like even ISO 14,000 for a smaller organization, lesser processes, a simple office, it's easy. But
Yeah.
for a manufacturer which has thousands of sub processes, it's tough lah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And coupled with so many products that we manufacture,
correct.
yeah, it doubles up or multiply the complexity.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you guys have put a priority on this, and perhaps other companies would follow your good example to have all these measures in place, so that in the future, I mean, for our common good, yeah, our although our general per capita carbon is actually reducing, but actually that is because our population is increasing.
Mhm.
But intensity wise, it is we are increasing. So, in that sense, sometimes reporting can be skewed in a way. I believe that if us as a nation to survive, we must be very efficient. And I think sustainability also is about efficiency as well. You don't
Yeah.
want to waste, right? So you try to use as efficient as possible all the resources that you have. Yeah.
Agree, Sally.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably we can link sustainability to efficiency as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because all these, when you talk about operational efficiency, is all parts of the sustainability effort.
Yep. I don't see any more questions in the dashboard. I would like to ask for parting words from both of you. Maybe starting with Putri.
So I think we have basically summed up pretty big those important things like how do you want to integrate sustainability into your business, and I do hope that other businesses you should start to actually implement sustainability or integrate your sustainability into part of your business.
I understand. Mr. Chan.
It's a journey, so it's going to take a long time to implement, improve, coming back with feedback, and continue to improve. So I hope that everyone wish you all good luck and all the best in your sustainability journey.
Thank you, both. Thank you, Miss Putri Nurul Afika, our speaker, and Mr. Chan Taiwei, our panelist. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
great. It's been a great discussion. Good to know all the good news that you're bringing us, and it has been quite an impactful and informative revelation about integration of sustainability into business. And as I mentioned, it should be followed by other companies as well. And with that notion, I would like to end our webinar. Thank you for your time. Thank you, dear audience, for your time. And we'll see you in the next webinar by iGEM. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.